Hey, everybody. So, on this episode, I want to talk about something that might make you a little bit uncomfortable. A lot of people don't like talking about this subject, and it is something that I'm realizing is the main reason why most agencies can't actually grow. So, it's very important that I talk to you guys about this because it is so critical for your business's growth. Even if it makes you a little bit uncomfortable, I promise you it will be worth it in the end. Now, for people who don't know who I am, my name is Lucas James, and I was able to scale my own agency, Twiz, which is now an agency plus a software, to $1.72 million in revenue last year as a kid in his 20s with no funding, just completely bootstrapped, zero debt, right? So want to show you guys how to do the exact same thing. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about, again, the most important thing that people tend to miss when it comes to growing their agencies. And that is, generally speaking, a lack of the basic understanding of how supply and demand works, and then also how arbitration works, arbitrage works, not arbitration, arbitrage works, and then how different just terms around scaling leads and scaling your business work. And so I want to break those things down for you and just the general concepts behind lead generation, because if you don't understand these things, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to grow and scale your agency. So the first thing right off the bat is, what is a lead magnet? Now, I've talked about them on the show a couple of different times before, but what I've realized is that when I mention what a lead magnet is to people, they still don't fully get it. And so I want to really break down what that is and why it's so critical. So if you're familiar with Russell Brunson and what's called the value stack, essentially it's a series of products ranging typically from free to very expensive. And there's a range of these items in between that set. And essentially, the lead magnet is the offer you can give for free that has the least amount of friction, that gives the companies that you are interested in working with essentially an opportunity to sort of taste test or sample your businesses. Now, if you think that you're too big to have a lead magnet, think again. I just interviewed a company that does $150 million per year in revenue called Scorpion SEO, and they have lead magnets. So you're never too big to have a lead magnet like this. Go into any Costco and they have free samples. They're really big. Does not matter. It always works, right? So you need to have some sort of a free offer or something that's extremely low cost that gets people through the door. It could be a book. It could be this podcast, anything that gets people through the door and gets them saying yes, right? So that's what a lead magnet is. The second thing is, what is actually arbitrage? What does that mean, right? When I say that on this show, and in a lot of ways, I'm hearing these kind of things and reinforcing them with my agency. I'm hearing them, though, starting with people like Alex Hormozi, Russell Brunson, Nathan Latka, people who have grown and scaled businesses online through understanding online digital arbitrage. So what does that mean? Arbitrage is essentially finding an efficiency in the market, meaning that there's a lack of supply for something that has a lot of demand, and actually offering something to that market to fulfill that demand, right? So for instance, I recently just launched, and we have a video that's actually going live on our YouTube. So if you want to check it out, go check out my YouTube channel. Just search my name on YouTube. You'll be able to find it. But I recently just launched a video breaking down a new offer that I have for my SaaS company. And basically we teach other people how to build communities and stuff. And it's specifically for B2B SaaS. But the point is, that is an arbitrage opportunity. The reason why? Because there's a lot of demand for people to build a community, especially B2B SaaS companies need to know how to build a community. But very few people have done it, A, well, B, for a cost-effective price for agencies or B2B SaaS companies, and then C, have actually focused on that as their primary niche, meaning they're perfecting operationally a system that allows them to do arbitrage on that product. So you see how there's limited supply for something that has a lot of demand. So that's how I see it. And then the second thing I look at, and this is the other definition you have to have in place if you're going to grow and scale, is what makes an incredible product. What makes an incredible product is basically the degree of virality that it has. If you have more virality with a given product or business or service, then your product is good. If it doesn't have a lot of virality, it is bad, right? Every single company operates on the same notion. So you might have reached operational mastery with a given business, product or service. So you might have gotten the margins to be really good. You might have got the technical specs of the product to be really good. But if nobody is sharing it, I would argue that the product itself is not good, right? That is my viewpoint. So when you're out there and you're thinking about growing and scaling your free lead magnet, right? And your business model and things like that, you need to have, one, found a good arbitrage opportunity. Two, figured out what kind of a market can you deliver extremely high satisfaction towards, so that way you could actually get people to share it. And then three, and this is the final thing, can you defend that profitability at scale, so then that way you can maintain that position over time. If you don't think you have the right kind of systems or infrastructure or network to actually scale that system over time, it may not be worth pursuing that opportunity. So when I was younger, like when I was 22 when I started the agency, now I'm just turned 27, I would just jump into things. I would just run and jump into things. That helped me early on get an advantage in the market, and it helped me build an above average product. But it wasn't until recently that I really started to think about these terms like arbitrage, product, all of these things, and understanding deeply what they mean and how to defend an opportunity to scale. So the reason you're not getting leads, which is the title of this episode, is due to a lack of fundamental understanding. And it might make you uncomfortable, but a lack of fundamental understanding of how business works. And I'm not doing this to knock you or say anything bad about you in any way. I'm saying this because I went through the same thing. I had a very limited understanding of business practices when I first scaled my agency, as opposed to now I have a lot more. So I would focus on that. I would make that a key critical focus. And some other things that you want to think through when it comes to creating that lead magnet, right? That thing that's going to get people sucked in, get them saying yes, and get them to actually take a meeting with you, is you have to ask yourself, what is the available supply? And again, going back to the whole point about supply and demand and arbitrage, what is the available supply of this lead magnet in this given market that I'm trying to target? So for instance, if I'm trying to get a lawyer as a client through SEO, which is what Scorpion SEO did, who was on the podcast I just mentioned, if I'm trying to get them on my show, or sorry, to work with me, then if I just send them a free guide or something generic, the odds that they're going to work with me go down. Why? Because, or at least take a meeting, because there is a lot of people who are offering guides to attorneys. And because of that, there's not a lot of demand for that thing. So the biggest realization for you in your business is when you realize that the lead magnet needs to be something that's just as good as the rest of your business. Once you realize that, and you realize that it has to be something with incredibly high demand and low supply, meaning that it's unique enough in the marketplace for you to actually grow and scale it and get a lot of people saying yes and a lot less no's, that is the moment you break through, right? Because there was a lot of time when I was growing my business where I'd think, why is it that some people are able to grow so much faster than I am, right? How come they hit $10 million in revenue and I didn't? It's because they understood the fundamental fact, and this is what I'll leave you with, is like the last sort of nugget of something to think about. The fundamental fact is that if you don't have a product that is insanely inherently viral, if it is free or otherwise, does not matter, meaning it doesn't have insane demand and very limited supply in the market, you will never break $2 million in revenue. You might get to $2 million like I was able to do, but you won't break it because your product might be above average, but it needs to be the best in the world at what you do, right? And there needs to be very few alternatives to actually hit that kind of point where you're not just saturated by the market. So you have to take every single product specifically as good as, needs to be as good as possible, right? It can't, none of them can be bad. They all have to be perfect, right? At a certain point. Sure, you can get started lean. That works, right? But once you hit scale, if you want to be the best, you have to aim for perfection through virality, right? So anyways, I hope this has been a helpful episode. Thank you so much for everybody who listens to these on a daily basis. We've been having a lot of great interactions with all of you. If you have anything that you want me to make an episode on or content on or anything like that, I got a lot of them in the pipe right now that I'll review, then just let me know and I will do a video just like this or an episode of the podcast, however you're listening to this or consuming this content. But again, thank you so much for being a listener. If you know anybody who would like this or like to see this content or listen to it, share it with them, like, subscribe. You know the drill. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.